So there's a skunk in the barn. I gotta get it out of there. Follow me on this journey. The wires. If it looks like a skunk turd and smells like a skunk turd, let me do that again. I know you were here, skunk. I can smell you. Well, I'm thankful that wasn't a skunk. It was in there yesterday, and I was very nervous. What I really wanted to show you was the second phase of our rotational grazing plan here at the Sustainable Homestead Institute. Step 1, we redid the perimeter fence. Step 2, we broke that perimeter into equal sections. We have about 3 sections now, not including the sacrificial section where the water is that they have access to all the time. We got rid of some of the goats and really dialed in our stocking rate by introducing a smaller breed of cows, the Dexters, that are really good for a number of reasons. We've had videos on that in the past. The final step is pushing these cows around through the rotational paddocks and using mowing to keep down on weed pressure and make sure the grass grows better. Don't just take my word for it. Let me show you on the drone. Are you filming? Can I talk to or no? Mm-hmm. So we're coming up on that like sacrificial area. This has the water. They have access to this every day. On the right is the lane, but on this first section, you can see the most recent place they've been in. Now, granted, these have all been like mowed here recently, but you can see the dirt patches. That means that it's like bordering on overgrazed. And as we go back to the paddocks, we can see there's more growth, more like green, meaning the grass has had time to recover. And as we get to the final section back here, that's where the cows are now. They were just moved there the other day, but there's still like actual grass growth. Now this isn't ideal because we haven't, like the grass hasn't reached about like knee height or so, but it's pretty good and it's better than we would have on a single like just perimeter fencing. The breaking it up gives time for the pastures to recover, to relax, and the root growth particularly to stay intact. So we're not overgrazing, we're not just like bringing brown pastures with cows on them, as we'll show you in other examples. But so there's a lush green forage area for the cows to like have a good time in. One more time as we're moving back closer to the homestead, or closer to the house, there's the less overgrazed pasture, which has had like the least amount of time to recover. All the way at the end there, they just got off of there, and then a little bit of recovery in the center section, and then the most recovery, and actually now we're adding more pressure with the cows. This isn't ideal, and the next evolution will strip graze these sections, so we'll even further divide these paddocks into smaller sections based on the animal units that we're putting in. And by the animal units, I mean how big are the cows, how many there are, and match that forage area up to how many cows are actually in there. So we'll move that every day and have a whole lot of impact in a little amount of area, and then allow for a super long recovery time. And then we're coming back to the orchard there. But now we're into like the sacrificial area. This is the part where they come every day. They have access to the loading pen and the lane. And this is where we feed them hay over winter. So yeah, this is the evolution of the rotational grazing setup. What it was before, it didn't look this good. Maybe a year ago, we had these fences. I remember like one of the first videos we put up was how to put in a fence post on that gate to the left. And before that, it was just like a lot of crown beard. It was not as much green, a lot of like weed pressure. But now you can definitely see that there's grass there. And it's apparent that the pasture is healthier. Like the videos don't lie. I'm super proud of this. But this has taken us years of progression. And doing the small things first so that we can have a little bit of profitability, grow some animals in there. But now we're building more of a system that ensures longevity and reduces like worm loads and weed pressure, and ultimately results in a more sustainable environment for the cows and for us, because you are what you eat. And in this case, we want to have the highest quality produce that we can produce. And so we're just another step into that rotational grazing or AMP grazing progression. But it takes little steps and planning to do that. You don't just go in putting up these high dollar fences without like doing a little bit of planning, some soil testing, and figuring out the breed that works best in your area. Actually, it's interesting because there were sheep farmers here years ago, and they moved their operation because, frankly, like the weather wasn't conducive to having sheep. Like this low out of the mountains, we have like pretty hot weather sometimes, and so they had to move. Now, if they had chosen a different animal to impact the land, they might have had different results. But ultimately, they weren't working with rotational grazing systems, and they were just kind of like depleting the pasture over and over and over again. And there's only so much of that nature can take before it needs that time off and time to recover and time to grow back better and be healthier. We're flying through the orchard now. And that's the end of this video. Thanks for watching. SustainableHomestead.com. What's up? So why should you care? Regardless whether you have a homestead or not, this is important. It's important to know what goes into the cow or what goes into the animal that ultimately you're eating for the highest quality produce. And to do that, we have to have the highest quality land. But ultimately, for the farmer, that's who we care about most. It's incredibly expensive if you have to do this twice. So getting your plan right, that's what we specialize in, is teaching you the skills so that you can have an abundant homestead from like day one. We don't want you to go through the learning process because learn from the collective here, our Homestead Mastermind. We have a huge network of people that are doing this all the time. And pull from those resources, because it's not about the acreage that you farm, it's about the profitability per acre. And regenerative design, adaptive grazing, rotational grazing, all of those increase your profit margins and reduce your work while making a higher quality product. What's not to like?